Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is a Black Library review. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at one of the many publications brought out by Black Library and giving you our thoughts on the book, audio drama, whatever it happens to be. Now, I will say that we will try to keep this review to as spoiler free as possible, though there will obviously be points where we talk about things happening in the book. We will try to keep away from saying any of the major plot points, so you can go and read this book for yourself. We'll just give you our thoughts on whether or not we think it is something you may be interested in. So we'll use this video to instruct you on maybe is this sort of going to be a book that you would like to see. With that all said and out the way, let's get cracking on. Let's talk a little bit about the book that we have reviewed this time. In today's Black Library review, we're going to check out Sigismund, the Eternal Crusader by John French, and as always, I like to listen to the audible version, and this one is narrated by Timothy Wilson. I generally like to listen to Black Library fiction when I'm painting, when I'm building models, when I'm doing other sort of hobby, getting stuff ready for the channel, for whatever that may be, and Sigismund has got a release on Audible recently, so I picked it up and thought, why not? Let's give this a listen. It's been the first time I've read anything about Warhammer 30k, the Horus Heresy, for quite some time. I have been a little bit removed from the Horus Heresy for a while, haven't really paid much attention, but I do know obviously who Sigismund is, so this was really cool to pick up and have a read. He becomes obviously the founding father of one of my favourite Space Marine chapters in Warhammer 40k, the Black Templars, and really cool to read about him. With that said, let's get cracking on. This was a really well narrated audiobook. As always, all the people that do Black Library audios generally do quite a solid job at the very least for the narration. So let's get cracking on and check out what this one was all about and like. And so, setting the scene of the story, the book is effectively told as Sigismund recounting his early experiences, both of his becoming of a space marine, his transformation into what he is nowadays, and this includes his rising through the ranks. So like him becoming a Templar, him becoming the first captain, all these sort of stories, these major plot points within his life recounted to an old remembrancer back on Terra. It also tells a lot of his encounters with very major characters in the Warhammer 30,000 setting. From all the major sort of points you might think, including some of the very biggest characters in the world as well, and some other ones that I really enjoyed seeing get a little bit of time to shine. As I said, Sigismund is recounting these to an old remembrancer back on Terra, a remembrancer that's really just trying to piece together all the stories of a legion that's now having to find its place back on Terra. While it doesn't explicitly state, it does feel like this is pre-heresy, or at least pre the Imperial Fist actually knowing what's going on, and it's really cool just to sort of hear and see his thoughts on all of this sort of stuff for the Heresy, which I really, really enjoyed. He's such an interesting character, but this definitely just sort of starts to give a nice, good bit of background about Sigismund as a character. And so continuing on, I guess, what is this book's purpose? And really, it's to give us a really deep look into the character that is Sigismund. This sort of opens up the character as he's recounting all these tales and opening up to the remembrancer that is asking all these stories of Sigismund and all these questions of Sigismund. We really get Sigismund begin to open up properly as a character, and we get to learn all these little things about him, about how he views particular characters, about how he views particular things, other legions, the Crusader itself, his father or his gene-sire, Rogal Dawn, the Emperor, other Primarchs, all of this. We really just get a nice deep look on how this character not only fits into the Warhammer 30,000 universe, the Horus Heresy, or indeed the pre-times of the Horus Heresy and the Great Crusade, but get an idea of how he feels about those things as well. And I think that's the most important part of this. It sets up giving everything that now Sigismund does in any other 30k story a much deeper sort of purpose as we understand that character better from having read this story. And so, as you might expect, the main character of this one is Sigismund. Surprise, surprise on that. It has obviously a really strong supporting cast, and we do have a secondary character in the Remembrance of Voss, but is certainly very secondary. Voss is pretty much just asking questions of Sigismund throughout the story and doesn't really give too much of himself. So I wouldn't say he's a main character in any way, but it is really interesting as we start in the very early days of Sigismund. We actually start with him before he's even a space marine in the story, learning about those sort of times, and we end with him coming back to Terra, and we get that entire story sort of told in portions throughout between. He's without a doubt our main character of the story. Sigismund is, at a time, he becomes a space marine of the Imperial Fist, for those who don't know, and he rises through the ranks to become one of the most influential and powerful characters and Rogel Dawn's personal champion throughout this. And also, obviously, in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, he is the founding father of the Black Templars Space Marine chapter. And so, what changes about our main character in this story? Honestly, nothing really. The Sigismund we start with is the Sigismund we end with in this story, very much because it is Sigismund recounting to how he gets to that point, through different sort of subsections of story. Now, this is interesting because while it doesn't obviously tell us what changes about Sigismund, it does give us a feeling of why Sigismund is like he is, and it sort of gives you the building blocks of the character step by step of all these different parts and bits and pieces as to why he is who he is now. But obviously, he doesn't change. He is a very sort of rigid and stubborn character. I mean, that's very Imperial Fist of him to be such a character, but he is very sort of set in his ways and has his views. And it's really interesting listening and reading about those views and learning that little bit more about the character. And so, what does this book do well? Well, I think I've sort of explained this, but let's go into it already. It explores and gives us extra detail into the perspective of some key moments of the Great Crusade, especially through the eyes of a particular popular character in Sigismund. It does tie up some loose ends and gives us actual, factual accounts of events we may not have necessarily seen on camera so far in the Heresy books. I'm talking about major events, and key sort of moments in that Great Crusade sort of era time that do lead to particular things acting and playing out in the way they do. There's some really cool things of learning about particular parts of Sigismund's story inside the World Eaters, Sigismund's story of fighting alongside the Night Lords, his time on Ulanor, his time before he's a Space Marine, all these sort of little tidbits, which is, I think, just really, really cool. And there's some great characters thrown in here from across the legions. He meets so many big-name characters in this story, and just little sort of workings and little storytellings of each one of these. Really just gives us that little bit more detail into particular events, which I really like, just touching on every event. As someone I haven't touched on the Heresy for quite some time, I did know all the events in the Crusade, having read a decent amount of Heresy still. I'd like to get back into Heresy more and probably start doing like full reviews of the Heresy novels again. If people would like to see more Heresy stuff on the channel, let us know in the comments below. But I really did like just getting these little tidbits of stories I know about, and then getting sort of proper accounts of what happened. Some of these, you knew little bits about, or you'd heard secondhand and you'd never quite seen on camera, but you got the actual camera shot on them in this novel. Who would like this book though? Well, obviously, Imperial Fist fans. It's great to get such a notable and probably maybe the most popular Imperial Fist character outside of the Primarch himself, maybe even rivaling the Primarch himself, I'd go as far to say, in the Horus Heresy. It's a great look for Imperial Fist fans. You get to read about one of your most prominent and most popular characters and get a really great look at who and why this character is what he is. And also Black Templar fans. If you like Black Templars in Warhammer 40k, this could be a really good story to sort of see who your Gene Father, who your Primogenitor is, and what he sort of is, and why he's shaped your chapter the way he has, because of how he is. The Black Templars are every bit as much Sigismund as the Imperial Fists are Rogel Dawn, and I think that's, for a Black Templar fan, something really interesting to sort of take a look at. And so, in summary, this was a really great story that got me excited to explore the Horus Heresy again. Like I said, I haven't picked up a Horus Heresy story since, I think my last one was Scars. I think was the last story I really read. And so I am quite a bit behind in the Heresy. I've sort of been keeping up with the ins and outs of stuff, but I'd definitely like to go back and maybe start reading the Heresy again to pick it up, especially with the relaunch of Horus Heresy coming in Horus Heresy 2.0 from Games Workshop. This was really exciting for me to explore a character that I've always liked, mainly because I am a big Black Templars fan. They're one of my favourite Space Marine chapters in Warhammer 40k. While I don't necessarily like the Imperial Fists, I do like two of their successors in Black Templars and Crimson Fists quite a bit. So this was exciting to learn about two of them. I really like Alexis Polis as well, who is the Crimson Fists Gene Father, Primogenitor, or Founder, whatever you want to call him. But this was really, really cool to give a listen to. Got me hyped for some more Horus Heresy. I do like these short stories. These are becoming way more prominent, and apparently there's a ton of ones about different characters like these, which I'll definitely be getting around to, while also probably picking up the Horus Heresy series again, and probably starting from scratch with it again. Like I said, if you'd like to see more Horus Heresy stuff on the channel, let us know down in the comments below. I really enjoyed this. Was a really fun read from John French. It wasn't too long in the tooth either. I think it was about 6 and a bit hours to read. This is more of a sort of short novel, but really, really enjoyable. Great job, John French. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. Was quite enjoyable as a novel. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, we've got a link to our Discord server down in the video's description. And if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining Patreon or YouTube members, or purchasing something from our Ko-fi web store. All of them are linked in the video's description. Thank you all for everyone who chooses to help support the channel. As a special thank you to those people who have supported via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a special shout out to them all. So a shout out to our patrons Christian Weir, James, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Our and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dynat226, Derek, and GRP390. A special thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel you see, and to Xmorphic, who has done an amazing job at setting up our Discord server for her and making us have a nice place to content and to chat with all of our community. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.